In January 2026, the Chinese military released a video. Nothing dramatic about the footage itself, just a soldier, a screen, and an open sky. But what happened in that sky is hard to forget. 200 drones lifted off at once. They didn't break apart. They didn't drift. They locked into a perfect formation and moved as one thing, one mind, across the horizon. The soldier didn't grip the controls. He just watched. Because they didn't need him anymore. He had already given the order. The People's Liberation Army posted this footage themselves. Proudly, the Pentagon saw it and went quiet. One person, 200 machines. Now think about what that means when it's not a demonstration anymore, when the sky above isn't empty. The way wars are fought is changing faster than anyone expected, and faster than most governments can regulate. We're not talking about science fiction scenarios. We're talking about systems that exist right now, deployed right now, operating right now. This video is about what happens when artificial intelligence, robotics, and autonomous systems collide with the oldest human institution, organized conflict. We'll look at the numbers, and they're staggering. We'll look at the machines. Some of them are already faster and more precise than any human operator. And we'll look at the question no one wants to answer out loud. When a machine makes a battlefield decision on its own, who is responsible? But here's the twist that most people miss. Technology doesn't just eliminate roles on the battlefield. It creates entirely new ones. Professions that didn't exist 5 years ago are now among the most in-demand careers in defense. The robot isn't just replacing the soldier, it's rewriting the job description. $47.38 billion. That's the size of the global military drone market in 2025. By 2033, analysts project it will nearly double, reaching $98.24 billion. That's not a niche industry. That's a transformation. And the war in Ukraine is the reason everyone accelerated. Before 2022, military commanders thought of drones as expensive, specialized tools, the kind that major powers used in remote desert operations. Then the full-scale conflict began in Ukraine, and everything changed. Ukrainian brigades on the most active front lines were consuming more than 5,000 first-person view drones every single month. 5,000 per brigade per month. These were not sophisticated military systems. Some of them cost less than $500. They were modified commercial quadcopters with a small explosive attached to the frame. Then came the arithmetic that broke conventional military logic. A Russian Shahed 136 one-way attack system built at the Alabuga Special Economic Zone in Tatarstan cost between $20,000 and $50,000 to produce. The interceptor missile fired to neutralize it, between $150,000 and $500,000 each. Russia launches the cheap system. Ukraine expends the expensive countermeasure. Do that 10,000 times and the math destroys you. By summer 2025, Russia was launching an average of 175 Shahed-type systems per day. In July 2025 alone, the daily average peaked at 203. By April 2026, production levels indicated Russia had significantly expanded its Alabuga facility, launching waves large enough to force Ukraine to split its defenses, exhaust its interceptors, and allow some systems through. The penetration rate was rising, from below 10% to nearly 20%. Not because the systems got smarter, because the sheer volume was overwhelming the human defenders. And here's where it gets really significant. Ukraine responded in kind. By 2025, Ukrainian systems had neutralized or put out of action more than 240,000 opposing forces, according to Ukraine's own defense minister. In March 2026 alone, aerial systems accounted for 96% of documented battlefield losses that month. 96%. Artillery used to be the dominant force on the battlefield. Now it's being overtaken by a flying object that costs less than a used car. But aerial systems are just the beginning. What comes after them is harder to ignore. South Korea already has a robotic sentry standing guard along the Korean demilitarized zone. It is called the Samsung SGR-A1. It is fixed to a post, equipped with heavy caliber and explosive projectile systems. It uses infrared sensors and pattern recognition to detect movement, and it can engage without a human command. The only reason it does not always do so is a policy decision. A human is kept in the loop, for now. That for now is doing a lot of work. In October 2024, at the Zhuhai Air Show in China, the defense manufacturer Norinco debuted something that stunned military observers: an entire brigade of armored vehicles and aerial systems controlled by artificial intelligence. Not assisted by artificial intelligence, controlled. The Pentagon reportedly watched the footage and concluded they could not match China's speed or scale of autonomous systems manufacturing. 3 months later, in January 2026, the People's Liberation Army broadcast video of a single operator managing 200 autonomous aerial systems simultaneously. One person, 200 machines. That is a force multiplier with no historical equivalent. On the ground, autonomous vehicles are moving out of the prototype stage and into procurement. The U.S. Army allocated $803.9 million in fiscal year 2026 specifically to standardize small aerial systems across all regular formations. Not experimental units, standard formations. Every squad. The procurement numbers confirm the direction. 29,957 military robot units were purchased globally in 2024. By 2029, that figure is projected to reach 43,393, a 45% increase in 5 years, and that estimate was made before the acceleration triggered by lessons from the Ukraine conflict reached procurement offices. Russia fields the Uran-9, an unmanned ground combat vehicle tested in Syria. The U.S. deploys the Ghost Robotics Vision 60, a quadruped robot used for base surveillance. Israel's Elbit Systems produces the Rook, an autonomous logistics vehicle currently operating in active zones. South Korea's Hyundai Rotem has developed the HR Sherpa unmanned ground vehicle for frontline supply runs. These are not concepts, these are products, with serial numbers, with maintenance contracts. Here's a number that tells you where this is all going. In the U.S. Department of Defense's fiscal year 2027 budget request, the Defense Autonomous Warfare Group, an organization most Americans have never heard of, was allocated up to $54.6 billion. That is a 24,000% increase from the $225.9 million it received in fiscal year 2026. 24,000% in 1 year. The DAWG, as it is known internally, was created in 2025 as a successor to the Biden-era Replicator Initiative. Its mission is to find, test, and deploy the best autonomous technology available, fast. Pentagon officials have been tight-lipped about its operations. One line from an internal briefing said, "They are with these companies live right now, testing different systems and orchestration tools for autonomy, and they are giving them live feedback from a real operational environment, in real time." For fiscal year 2026, the Department of Defense had already requested $13.4 billion for autonomous systems, including $9.4 billion specifically for unmanned aerial vehicles. Counter-drone capabilities received another $3.1 billion. For context, NASA's entire budget in 2026 was roughly $25 billion. The Pentagon was spending more than half of that just on aerial systems and things to neutralize them. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth stated publicly that accelerating AI on the battlefield is among his top priorities. The institutional direction is clear. But the question that follows all of these numbers, a question that 30 nations raised at the UN General Assembly in 2025, is one no one has answered. Who is accountable when an autonomous system causes harm to the wrong target? Austria led the resolution. 30 CO sponsoring states signed on. The resolution stated that AI and autonomy in weapon systems raise serious challenges from a humanitarian and international law perspective. The resolution passed. Nothing changed. Here's the part of the story most people don't expect. When tanks replaced cavalry, cavalry officers didn't disappear. They became tank commanders. When aircraft took over the scouting role from horses, scouts became pilots. Every military revolution doesn't just eliminate roles, it generates entirely new professions. And the drone and robot revolution is doing exactly that, just faster than any previous one. The U.S. Army is currently developing a brand new military occupational specialty, the 390A robotics technician. This is a warrant officer career field dedicated entirely to integrating robots and autonomous systems into operations. The first pilot class was scheduled to begin in January 2026 at the John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School, and it will last 5 months. Once approved, the specialty will be open to any existing soldier and eventually to civilians entering the military directly into this field. This is not theoretical. The Army is actively converting special operations non-commissioned officers and former drone operators into this new career path right now. In the private sector, the demand is even more visible. Military robotics engineers, people who design, build, and maintain autonomous systems, are being hired at salaries ranging from $90,000 to $220,000 per year. The skills required include expertise in SLAM algorithms, quantum sensing, acoustic navigation, ROS2 software development, and AI integration for edge computing. These are not skills taught in any traditional military training. They are being built from scratch, simultaneously at universities and at defense contractors. Companies like Endural Industries, founded in 2017, now build the Ghost X autonomous helicopter drone used by the U.S. Army. Shield AI, founded in 2015, creates AI pilot software capable of flying an aircraft without a human operator. Joby Aviation is developing autonomous logistics platforms for military supply chains. The workforce of the new defense industry is being assembled right now, piece by piece, drawing from the same talent pool as Silicon Valley. The operator of the future might never leave a command center. They might manage a fleet of machines from a screen thousands of kilometers from the front. But here's the thing no one in any government briefing room wants to say out loud. The technology has already crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. In 2019, before Ukraine, before the Daduji, before the Zhuhai Air Show, a United Nations report documented what may have been the first instance of an autonomous strike system operating without a direct human command. A Turkish-made STM Kargu-2, deployed in Libya, reportedly tracked and engaged a retreating target without an operator instruction. The report's language was careful, deliberately careful. It said the system may have acted autonomously. No one officially confirmed it. No one officially denied it. 4 years later, in 2025, Ukraine's deputy defense minister stated that partial autonomy had already been implemented in some devices. Not tested. Implemented. By March 2026, according to the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, 469 non-state armed groups around the world had deployed aerial systems in operations, up from just 10 groups in 2010. Not established militaries, non-state groups, irregular forces, and non-state actors operating outside legal frameworks. The Kargu-2 costs around $7,000. That is the real revelation. It's not that major powers now have autonomous systems. It's that the barrier to entry has collapsed so completely that in 2025, 58 armed groups deployed aerial systems in conflict for the very first time across 17 countries, many of them operating on the budget of a small business. The capability that used to require a superpower now fits in a transport case. Conflict has always adapted to technology. The crossbow, the cannon, the repeating rifle, the nuclear bomb. Each one rewrote the rules completely. We are in the middle of another rewrite, but this one is moving at the speed of software updates, not factory retooling. A fleet can be upgraded overnight. A targeting system can be retrained in hours. The gap between a prototype and a deployed capability is measured in weeks, not decades. 469 armed groups, $54.6 billion, 96% of documented losses from aerial systems, 1 operator, 200 machines. These are not warning signs of a possible future. They are measurements of the present. The question isn't whether autonomous systems will reshape the world. They already are. The question is whether the humans making the rules can keep pace with the machines they built. So far, the machines are ahead.